Here we go. Welcome back to Goblin Slayer Anime Review, episode number 11. Yep. Now, like in the case of yesterday's Girlfriend, where they decided to release 2 episodes of the show, it's the same thing for this one. 2 episodes released up. 19 and 20 of the series, Jungle Cruise, and, if I can find the thing here. Yeah, Jungle Cruise. Oh, crap. I thought I opened up. Hang on. Hang on here. I'm sorry about this. I thought I opened up the document for it. Let's see. Oh, there you are. Because I know one Jungle Cruise. I know that one. The other one, about to find out here. I believe the other one is called Heart of Darkness. And these 2 episodes, pretty much in a way, finish adapting Book 7. They go through the rest of Book 7. Yep. Now, episode number 19. Well, 20 basically covered chapter 7, and chapter 7 in one of the interludes, probably the second one. And in the case of the previous episode, it adapted, if I can get to it, come on, seriously? I think it's more like 5 and 6, but it does pretty much in a way finish I think it's one book. Yep. Okay, this might be something here. I'm sorry about this. Let's see. Okay, there we go. It's actually chapters 4, 5, and 6, and the interlude. The interlude is something they included here. I'm actually quite glad they included this in here because normally anime adapt light novels don't include interludes. They usually skip them because they're not part of the main story, so don't include them. That's usually the motif here. So there's about 3 different things going on here over the course of these 2 episodes alone. There's stuff with the Sword Maiden, where she is basically doing some research, finding out stuff. Of course, she's still thinking about Goblin Slayer. The woman who's there looked like a nun. In the book for her is an acolyte. Does not think she looks like an older woman. It's you more your love letters to the Goblin Slayer. She's like puff face I can basically keep official business and private stuff separately. And then she proceeds to write a letter to not the Goblin Slayer, but the chief of the elves and they're who the real is. And this leads to a scene in episode 20 where, as sort of a meanwhile on the plains of hell itself, 3 beautiful female warriors are fighting demons, and they're about to take another one, and the thing ends right there. And that is it for the comes to that. Mm-hmm. Yep. And by the way, those segments, those are from the interludes. Yes. The Sword Maiden scene from episode 19. That's the first interlude. The scene with the 3 female adventurers on the plains to help fight the demons. That's from the second interlude. Which, okay, quite nice. So, the actual episode starts off with basically the Goblin Slayer party taking on, the creature. Moki Mogman. Yeah, they take him on the opening minutes of the episode where they all basically work together to do a way to... Well, they do know there's a goblin already, but they do not want to kill the creature per se because it's very important to force. So we actually have where High Elf Archer shoots down the goblin. Of course, the goblin gets squished by the damn thing. And then, of course, Goblin Slayer, thanks to maneuvers with the Cowgirl and Gill Girl, produces a very, very heavy rope that takes down the creature. Priest is on standby to put on cures, and that's it. The whole scene is about 5 minutes. And then right afterwards, they proceed to basically procure a couple boats to go upstream to kill the goblins prior to the wedding. And actually, before that, we do have sort of this really interesting moment here. We have High Elf Archer basically talking to her sister, like, oh, you left a party, and of course they argue back and forth for a bit. But it's a really nice scene. And then we also see Goblin Slayer with well, High Elf Archer's future brother-in-law, who is also her cousin, Dwarf Shaman, and Lizard Priest, all having a glass of wine, and presuming like, oh, this is night before your wedding. It's not for days. It's not for a few days. That's what's that meeting? Oh, we got a meeting talking about goblins, and he does also bring up before this, basically when. By the way, he's referred to as Shining Helm. That's his name. He does ask basically, Goblin Slayer, the maneuver he used to take down the creature. He says, "Who taught that to you?" He says, "His father." Yes, his father. Seemed like he's very reluctant to talk about because he also brings up his sister in the episode per se. So like he was not a good brother. Of course, coming to the village. I thought it was a really good character moment here. In case you're curious, though, was there anything really majorly cut here in these two episodes? Not really. It's like tiny bits here and there, but it seems as though the anime basically is trying to take it easy with these episodes, and I think they do a really good job with adaptation-wise because every scene is allowed to breathe. We get a good talking moment. We're not rushing through stuff like some series would like to do. Here, we get moments to breathe. I love this conversation with basically the three guys and the elf just chatting away. I thought this was a really cool scene. I thought it was also quite funny that he also got drunk after like his fourth glass. Yep, and then the very next day, they procure a boat to transport him to go. Of course, they're like, why not? Of course, they want to go by land or by sea, or land by water. Land is not good for priestess, so water. So they procure a boat and procure not a boat, a dummy boat to ward off goblins. And after killing the goblins, they realize though this actually was an accidental encounter. So then they arrive at some ancient ruins at the end of this river, where they kill a goblin guard, steal his key, and like, oh, is the key to the door there? Nope, it is not. Basically, we have High Elf Archer just picking the lock with one of these little skeleton keys she's got. And they go inside, and surprisingly, no goblins. Like the ground's very sturdy, very consistent with their footsteps. And then we see something I've seen a few times in anime, where they enter a room and enter like this doorway, and it's basically this long drop. But here's the thing: it has a swirling staircase along the wall, and this gigantic version of like a tower. I've seen this a few times in anime. The last time I saw this for this one was probably How Not to Summon Demon Lord, because they had a scene like this. They go down, they kill some goblins down there, and they go back up, assuming that's where the goblin leader is. And then they come across an elevator. Yes, an elevator. And they go, wait, this is a medieval setting. How would they know about elevators? And if you're curious, was this scene made there for the anime? Nope. This was actually from the book. Yes, this is straight from the book. I'm actually quite surprised. I'm actually quite happy they kept this in, because otherwise, though, how the heck would they got to the top of this ancient ruins in the first place? Have an elevator. So there's also this. Get this. There is a keypad, a stone keypad right next to it. So Priestess reads some symbols off the key basically they took from the Goblin Guard, which is working on the door, and puts the things in, and the doors open. I'm like, that is interesting. Now, I think in the book they did mention elevator, but I think this moment may have made for the anime the whole thing of the stone keypad. I thought that was really cool. And then of course they go inside, doors closed, and then they head over, they chat for a bit, which I'm glad they have another chatty scene, which I love chatty scenes like this. And they reach the top, and there's a horde of goblins. And of course, maybe a dwarf shaman may be responsible for this episode, and they prove to be correct. There is a dwarf shaman, who then proceeds to cast a spell that causes them to be immobilized, except for Priestess for some reason, where goblins are getting stabbed, dwarf shaman Elizabeth is getting beaten up, and High Elf Archer is being stripped. Yes. Only the second time in the whole series this has happened. At least this time, she keeps more clothing this time, because when this happened the previous season, she lost her whole top. I am not kidding about that. Her top got stripped off by goblins in Watertown. which, by the way, Rod Tartan is basically mentioned here. This time, it seems like they tore some pieces off her cape, and mostly in front of her shirt. They basically, like, almost like they give her, like, an open shirt, per se, which, that's fine. And then, of course, thanks to sort of purifying a goblin wound, they get the wits back, they basically get the goblins back, and then they proceed to jump off, and of course, they apparently also had trap below to basically flood the whole entire ancient ruins. Goblin Slayer knew not to destroy this place because even he knows not to destroy historical landmarks. And of course, High of Art's like, what about the flooding? Oh, let's have your future brother-in-law handle that. And then they go back to the village where they have the wedding. It's a very brief scene in the episode. It's perfectly fine. Which, here's something interesting though. Priestess does not change out of her attire. She's still wearing the same outfit she wears, which is not surprising. Goblin Slayer, no surprise for him, wearing the same exact attire, but at least probably cleaned up. Dwarf Shaman Lizard Priest still wear the same attires, but High Elf Archer, Cowgirl, and Guild Girl all before they leave. Before I continue here, I've got to take this one brief scene where Cowgirl is seen wearing a nightie and showing up a pair of panties, but Goblin Slayer probably doesn't care about that because, and of course, Gilgir doesn't want to see him because she doesn't have her face on, basically her makeup. And Cowgirl is like, he has no problem with him seeing her in PJs and nighted like this, so off her sexy legs. Because it's been very heavily hinted at in the series, even the books kind of confirm this too, that Cowgirl has got feelings for him. Unknown if it's confirmed he does. In the case of Good Girl, it's implied at this point that she does have feelings for him. In the case of, by the way, speaking of feelings, there's also a scene later on where they moved to kind of this a bit afterwards about proposing, where Lizard Priest kind of way proposes to High Elf Archer. In the book, she thinks it's a confession of love. In the episode, it's changed to a marriage proposal. And it's like, did you really propose to me? He's like, find out in 1,000 years. Because those two can live a long time, while priests and goblins cannot because they're human. The scene of the wedding is really good. They also have a small prayer. Of course, there's also one for Priestess, too, where she has sort of a negative reaction to what happened with the goblins, and she's a bit upset in the episodes. As a matter of fact, episode 18 ended with her basically being curled up, where she's like very much sad. And I think she's a bit useless per se, but apparently that what she did was perfectly fine. And of course, they have a small prayer for, and of course, High Elf Archer asks Priestess for a prayer for her sister and her new husband. She does no problem. Apparently, the Earth Mother accepts because basically they all come from the same type of thing anyway. So they may not worship the same type of religion, but at least from the same type of thing. So she points at praises, like, okay, has the prayer, and that's it. And then we have apparently a elf version of tossing the flower, tossing the bouquet. Yes. Which here is basically tossing the wreath on her head, where the camera cuts to showing 4 women. Guild Girl, Cowgirl, Priestess, and High Elf Archer, and somebody's going to catch this, and they don't show who caught it. Nope. They do not show who caught that thing, because it immediately cuts to, this forest where, it's 3 days later, they're going back home. If you're curious, though, about this, did the anime cut out who caught the wreath? No. It did not. I read the book. This actually is how the book ended, with this particular scene. So, I am not faulting the studio for this. This is not their fault. This is the fault of the book for not showing that. But, who caught it? My guess is the writer probably left up to fans' imagination who caught it. Some could say maybe Cowgirl probably caught it, or maybe High Elf Archer. That's possible. Priestess could have easily caught it, or even Guild Girl. Any one of the 4 girls could have caught it. Could have been one of the unnamed elf girls. Probably not, because I highly doubt that, because they're trying to develop these 4 characters, And because regulars, the fan theory could be that one of these four ladies may have caught it, or maybe all four of them caught it at the same time. So maybe all four of them are destined to marry Goblin Slayer. Who knows? But that's just a fan theory that I have. But I'm sure a lot of people probably have fan theories with that scene. But these two episodes were really, really good. Yep. And I was thinking maybe next episode they might start down to book 3. But nope. We're going to book 8 next episode. And sadly put, in the case of this season, we have only 4 to go. You think, really? Yeah, really. We have 4 more episodes left to go for the whole season. And that's it. Girlfriend, I kind of mentioned yesterday. That one's also got 4 episodes left to go. So there's that. So within a few weeks, within 4 weeks, this one, Girlfriend, and Spike's going to be wrapped up. Okay, so that's be pretty much it for the review. Next up is going to be One Piece, and I will be getting to that. Okay, thanks for Bye.